Which 4 episodes? The first 4, the last 4, some random ones in the middle? Which 4 episodes ruined it? Well, since the wind closed my door, I guess I might as well record. With my door open, you can hear the TV. My sister's watching something, and you can hear it. But since the wind closed my door, and the kids aren't being as loud outside anymore, maybe I can quickly record this. 2 surprises. One is that everything is different again, because yeah, we rearranged our house the other day. So I have changed locations. So this is the new setup. Kind of new setup. It might change slightly once I get an actual stand for my phone. At the moment it's like propped up against books. And surprise number 2 is the topic of this video. I just went through that whole 6 video series on all of the dramas that I've watched the actor Jukai in. And I thought I wasn't going to be able to watch anything else because at 1, I didn't think there was anything else I could find to be able to watch it. And 2, I didn't think there was anything else that I was really interested in. But for the life of me, I can't remember how I found She and Her Perfect Husband. It wasn't even that long ago that I found it, and yet for the life of me, I can't remember how I found it. But I did. She and Her Perfect Husband. Jukai. So, another video for the series. Surprise! And of course, right off the bat, we have to start laughing. Because you know I said 5 out of 6. Well, now it's 6 out of 7. I might just have to do a whole separate video just on the weddings of Jukai. I just don't know how I'd organize them. Best wedding first? Most unique wedding first? How would I even organize that? But my word, that is just way too funny. So, that look better or worse? Better? Makes me look less pale, maybe? I don't know. I've got my window open, the curtain open and the window open, and the light on, and I just turned the lamp on. How do I look? Does that look better or worse? I don't know. Anyway. So I didn't tell my sister that I was starting to record. She said, you can record anytime you want to. Just let me know and I'll be more quiet. But like I say, since the wind closed my door anyway, I don't think it makes a difference. Because you can't hear from out there. I didn't want the door closed. But before I open it, I might as well just record a quick video. Quick 3 minutes of rambling first. Sorry. I wrote out a script, as usual. It's better when I write out a script. This one was a character-driven drama, so like the other videos that I did of Jukai, there was enough action and whatnot, and like I'm actually shocked myself at how well I did at organizing those videos. Like I'm watching them back over, and I'm actually rather proud of myself. Because usually when I watch a drama, when I do a reaction video, it ends up pretty scattered and weird, even when I try to be organized. But these ones, I somehow managed to organize the notes in a way that I actually like it. But this one, it's a different kind of notes because it's much, much more just character driven. There's barely any action in this one. It's not an action one. I mean, even Falling Into Your Smile, that one was technically a character driven, but because of the game they're playing, some of the scenes, there was action scenes because they were showing you the game. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. This is definitely the most character-driven. Like, it's strictly character-driven. There's not really any action whatsoever in it. So, yeah, She and Her Perfect Husband, the whole setup for this drama, it's called She and Her Perfect Husband because the main of the main character, like, the story focuses on Chin-Shi and her story. That's what the main focus is, even though there's several main characters. For once, this one actually listed, you know, several main characters, and they are the main characters. Anyway. But in this one, she is a lawyer, but apparently for female single lawyers, it's very difficult to find a job and keep a job, like to even get hired, rather, I should say. There's discrimination, at least at the time. Well, this drama was made in 2020 or something like that, I think. It's a very recent drama, so it seems like even now, like, there's a difficulty for female lawyers that are not married to find a job, apparently, in China. So because of that, her friend told when she went for an interview, she had no idea that her friend told them that she was actually married rather than being single. And because her status said married, that was like at least half the reason that she got hired, because this law firm will not hire single women. So right after the interview, like, she finds out, as she's saying goodbye to the person that interviewed her and just hired her, that this Tang thinks that Qinshi is married. And Qinshi's like, wait, what? As soon as she's like off with her friend, she's like, I'm what now? But her friend convinces her to just go with it, because she should have and deserves to have a big stage and all of this stuff, and look at the struggle she had trying to find a job when she was single, so just go with it. Just stay with the lie. So Qinshi, it took a little bit of convincing, but not a whole lot, because, like, yeah, she wants to do the job. So she goes with it. She pretends that she's married. And instead of just making somebody up, or instead of picking somebody that literally lives across the world, she picks someone off the internet that lives in the same city as her. And then she's shocked after 2 years when he comes accidentally walking into her life. Ta-da! So because of this whole rigmarole of coincidence, he walks into her life, and now because her boss, Tang, sees him, she's like, aha, there's your husband. And Qinshi's like, oh crap. And there's that whole scene of their first meeting. And then she drags him off into takes him off into another room and explains what was happening. So because of everything he's currently going through in his life, because his mother wants him to get married, so she's continually setting him up on blind dates, which is why he ended up walking into this room, because I totally forgot. By the time I brought it back into it, I totally forgot that it was Li Dai that he was supposed to meet for this blind date. And beats the heck out of me why on earth he was going there during the middle of a party to have a blind date with her. Unless he just happened to be walking in there right now to tell her that he wasn't going to come to the blind date, which doesn't make any sense to me. So all around that whole, why on earth was he going to somebody's wedding anniversary party to have a blind date with someone? Like, what the heck? That makes no sense whatsoever to me. That is just weird on top of weird on top of weird. But that's why he was there, was to meet Li Dai for a blind date. I'm like, nah. Anyway. And instead he meets Qinshi and her boss. And because he doesn't want to get, he's tired of being forced into blind dates and all the rest of that. So because of all of the rest of this stuff, he told Qinshi at first, no, like, tell everybody that we're not married, because this has nothing to do with me and this is unfair and you can't do this to me. And of course, now that I started recording, now she all of a sudden randomly decides to heat up her food. Nothing, absolutely no sounds for hours on end. And now, just because I'm recording, she picks randomly coincidence, speaking of coincidences. Anyway, what was I saying? Because of that whole setup, things get more and more complicated, and they end up living together, like in the same house, not together, they're separate bedrooms, but they end up living in the same house, pretending that they are married. Long explanation of that, and now coincident to my cat suddenly jumped off my bed and is probably gonna, oh, right, she's laying down on the floor. Quick videos are never quick. Okay, I'm just gonna read what I wrote about this. First of all, I have to start with what made me, like, really, really mad in this drama. But I'm just gonna read it rather than... What a double standard. Li Dai tells Qinshi to cut Yao Yao out of the picture to tie up loose ends, but never once says a word about Tao being a constant staple in Qinshi's life, despite his behavior and obvious motives. The huge, huge neon elephant in the room that literally nobody in this drama ever addresses. What do you do with your pain? Do you bury it? Do you find healing and growth from it? Or do you use it to lash out and harm everyone around you? You being the person watching this video, legit questions. What do you do with your pain? Because what did Tao do with it? This is why I don't care about Tao's sob story. It's not that I am a heartless, uncaring about the circumstances of his background kind of person, or how rough his life has been, or the ridiculous unspoken societal rules that are making his life unfairly difficult right now. And I'm not diminishing how painful the breakup between him and Qinshi is. Because that was really sad and unfair for both of them. Though more so for her if it's him that kept it a secret from his mom for 7 flippin' years. Are you kidding me, Tao? You were with Qin for 7 years and you never told your mother? And then you're shocked when your mother has that kind of reaction to her? Are you flippin' kidding me, Tao? That already says a lot about who you are. The reason I don't care about his heartache, pain, troubles, struggles, etc., is not even the part where most of it is his own fault at this point of the journey, because he won't let go of what he has absolutely no right to hold on to. The reason I say I don't care is because all of that is being used as an excuse to justify his disgusting, unjustifiable behavior. I see this way too often in dramas, and this is what it boils down to. This whole drama is using an excuse to justify something that cannot be justified. We can come to and deal with and have sympathy for, etc., everything else after we deal with Tao's deplorable behavior. But guess what? The drama never deals with it. The drama, by multiple characters' words, on multiple occasions, like my word, I'm telling you, if you have to continually tell me that Tao is a good man and that he'll be a good husband and a good father one day, if you have to continually tell me that, you know what that actually tells me? His actions are telling me this, your words are telling me this, and you continually try to force feed me this. The more often you say it, the more it sounds like you're trying to force me to believe it, because everything he is doing is proving the exact opposite. Right down to the very last scene, you see Tao defend his actions. The drama defends, not Tao himself. The drama and everybody in it, the drama defends his actions, not just with an excuse, which is already not okay, but a downright pathetic excuse. It's his emotions. That's it. That's the excuse for his disgustingly deplorable behavior, is his emotions. Grow up. Everyone else in this drama went through healing and growth, learning from their mistakes, realizing what they've done wrong, and correcting it. Every single character that mattered, and even some of the small fry. But not him. Not Tao. He stayed exactly where he was all the way through the last second, and not only did he stay there, he remained justified in it. By the end of it, all the bad behavior is shifted and dealt with in Wu Fei instead of Tao. Tao is absolutely disgusting, and right at the point where you're like, okay, now maybe we can deal with this and fix this. No, they literally shifted all to Tao. Everything Tao was doing, they shifted all onto Wu Fei, and all of a sudden through the whole rest of the drama, we're dealing with her and her behavior instead of his. His just remains justified and excused throughout the entire drama. And not only that, even worse than that, as if that isn't already bad enough, even worse, he's rewarded for his bad behavior over and over and over by, like, everyone throughout this drama. He is rewarded for his disgustingly deplorable behavior. And by disgustingly deplorable behavior, just snippets of it in terms of Qin herself. In episode 4, Tao physically and verbally assaults Qin in the bathroom. That right there wrote him out of my books. He then, in that same episode, he fights with Qin, but then tries to play the hero by sending her allergy medications while verbally throwing acid all over Yang Hua, who he believes is her husband. In episode 22, Tao manhandles Qin again into her office and yells at her. And like, my skin was literally crawling when he was standing there in Qin doorway watching her, before he then yells to make her fall over and then like laughs. And that would be pretty funny in any other instance, but because it was him doing it to her, I was like... And then like in episode 22, he's hard rapping on the desk. Are you done yet? Put your phone down. This is nothing but jealousy. He is not her boss. They are not in a relationship. They are not even in the middle of a conversation. This is downright nothing but control freak behavior. Jealousy over his married ex being happy with someone else, even though he supposedly is too. And then he's like, you want me to be your mentor? And he smugly smirks. Haha, she needs me. And then gives her a pile of paperwork to do with barely any time to do it in, like jerk. And on top of that, by doing that, he knows perfectly well that is going to keep him within his territory, because I don't know if she's allowed to take those things out of his office, so she's got to do that there in his office. So that is literally keeping her within his sight, within his territory, within his place. Control freak, jealous control freak. And when he goes to leave for a little bit to go do something, she looks up at him and asks, where are you going? And he snaps at her, mind your own business. And I'm like you minded yours when she was on her phone? In episode 32, sees Chin-Shi with Jason, and without having a clue what is going on or why this time he didn't literally manhandle her, but he attacks her relationship with Yanghua again. In episode 33, Tao manhandles a hug out of Chin-Shi. I was keeping count, but at the same time, I'm wondering if I missed a couple. How many times has he manhandled her? Physically manhandled her now. Physically manhandled her. At least 3 times, if not 4 already. In episode 34, he's calling Chin-Shi to tell her what to do. It is not your place to be doing what you're doing right now, Tao. Get out of her life. You are not her boyfriend. You are not her hero. You are not even technically her friend right now. Get out. Episode 35. He says, why didn't you listen to me? And she asks, why do you want me to obey you all the time? And I'm like, pinpointing exactly what he's doing, and yet it's kind of like a skim over. She finally points out what he's doing at this point, and yet that's all she says, and then moves on, and for the rest of the drama ignores that she ever says that. And that is what he is doing. Control freak. In the name of jealousy, etc. Episode 39. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, he tells her, you should leave this place. She says no. He gets angry at her. But then later within that same episode, she tells him, I'm leaving. And he, paraphrasing, says, don't you dare. He has to be the solution for her every single time. It doesn't matter what she does. If she isn't doing it because he was the one that told her to at the time that he told her to do it for the reasons he told her to, then he will yell at her for it. If those 3 conditions aren't met, he will yell at her no matter what she does. She has to be doing it because he told her to do it at the time that he told her to do it for the reasons he told her to do it. If she's not, he yells at her for it. Watch the drama and pay attention every single time. He's constantly swooping in to be the hero and yelling at her when she's not doing things his way for his reasons. I didn't mark down which episode it was when he manhandled her when he was drunk, but guess what? Surprise! He manhandled her while he's drunk. If he does it while he's sober, why won't he do it when he's drunk? He also told her to marry him, yes, told, not asked, repeatedly while he was drunk, and later on while he was sober. The second he finds out she's divorced, marry me. Dude, you are still engaged to somebody. What are you doing? And speaking of engagement, that was all in terms of Chin-Shi and his behavior to her. Let's not just touch on his business. I mean, he's a lawyer. Lawyers are like that. Dude, you cross lines so many times even there. But then, in terms of Wu Fei, his fiancé, as if his girlfriend wasn't bad enough. This is his fiancé. And yet there's like 4 things I wrote down here about that. I didn't have actual specific episodes and whatnot because I started skipping a lot of it, but Tao lies to Wu Fei about knowing Chin-Shi at all, never mind in what way he knows her. And then Tao prioritizes Chin-Shi over Wu Fei in every case where there's a choice, but makes excuses like, oh, it's because of work or whatever, and even literally turns his car around at one point to go sit in front of Chin-Shi's house, pining for her, and throwing more acid on Yunhua again when Yunhua walks by, Yanghua. Instead of going to Wu Fei's place, he goes and pines in front of Chin-Shi's place. Tao acts like a groupie, bullying the misfit at first. When Wu Fei finds out who Chin-Shi actually is, I literally felt like they were a couple of groupies sitting there like giggling and bullying someone. And this is so much fun bullying this person. until Wu Fei actually starts initiating things. And then all of a sudden the whole show turns around and Tao changes his mind. He's like, oh, poor Qinxi's getting bullied by Wu Fei and getting bullied by all the people up here. And oh, my poor Qixi, I better be her hero and save her again because... And he's like, literally starts acting like a young adult would try to be correcting a child with Wu Fei. And I am so repulsed, I am shuddering. He liked it when it was happening. He just didn't like someone else controlling it. Convince me otherwise. You can't. I ended up entirely disliking Wu Fei too because she started lashing out and hurting Qinxi out of jealousy. But seriously, within the concept of Tao himself, I felt so bad for Wu Fei. And I actually don't think it was right for her to go back to him in the end. I didn't watch that makeup scene. I forget how long later that was. And in terms of growing up, it was good for her. She did, like I say, all the other characters except Tao had major growth and major turnarounds and major all the rest of that stuff. He's the only one that doesn't. In terms of them being together in the end, I think it was a bad decision. He did not deserve her. After everything he did to her, I don't think he ever apologized. Because, for one thing, like I said in something else I was watching, what was it? Oh, Dance of the Sky Empire. If you repeatedly do what you claim that you're sorry for doing, if you continue to do it, you are not sorry. And yet he continued his behavior all the way through. So I don't even care if he actually said the words to Wu Fei that he was sorry all the way along. He's telling Qinxi to get married to him. He's not sorry for his behavior with Qinxi. He's not sorry for what he did to Wu Fei. Why did they end up together? That is disturbing to me that they end up together. No. Like, even just as friends, even just as work, whatever. Wrong timing. No. He hasn't changed. He has not changed. His deplorable behavior has not changed. Moving on to the rest of the drama. I literally wrote, I had my notes here. Show you the picture of the notes that I took again. And the first thing that I wrote was, this one will frustrate and irritate and push every button. I know it because of the type of drama it is. But no, I will not keep a running commentary. And then after I kept a running commentary, I went back and added, so much for that. This drama confused me. One, it confused me so bad with the whole single women are the worst, but constantly bad-mouthing married women for getting pregnant. And I'm like, which is it? This one is worse, but actually that one is a headache that will cause us to refuse applications. People. Single, so she might suddenly date and then she won't have time for her job, versus married, but she might suddenly be pregnant. But you will hire married women, but not single women? And now I legit don't see how one is worse than the other. Especially when the single woman dating might be distracting, but probably won't make her quit her job. But the pregnant wife might actually quit so that she can be with her family instead. People, what am I missing? Because in my books, hiring a married woman sounds like a much worse choice than hiring a single woman, and yet it's the single woman that they discriminate against and won't hire. I don't get it. A tiny bit of a breakdown just to mention where they were so that you can find it. Episode 12. This is actually different. Yeah, it's an important little conversation note thingy that explains a lot in the drama. Qinxi finds out that her ex is engaged, but on the way home it turns out she's thinking about work. Yanghua says, "That's what you're thinking about?" Qinxi, Yanghua, "You're hopeless. Your desire has already blocked off your emotional needs as a woman." He's shaking his head. Qinxi says, "That doesn't sound like a bad thing." And Yanghua shakes his head harder. Yanghua, your maturity. Also, there was just like, it's unrelated to everything else, so I almost don't want to mention it, but at the same time, Jin is talking to somebody and he says, "I know you're the closest person to your aunt, but closeness doesn't mean understanding. Sometimes it can form a blind spot instead." And I just wanted to mention that quote because I actually really like that quote. I completely agree. I actually see that quite frequently in dramas, in stories, and in even real life, where just because you're like with someone all the time, or like you think you have, like, I mean, you do have a close relationship with them and all the rest of that stuff, it actually does create blind spots. And there's actually, we could get into a whole discussion about why, but that would get off into a whole different thing, so I just thought I'd mention that. but I have to leave it there. In episode 21, here's another conversation. Qin says, nothing happened last night, right? And Yanghua says, something happened. And Qin like, what? And Yanghua says, what happened last night was very important to me. And I just absolutely adore Yanghua and his honesty in this whole thing. Because here again, I can go off on a whole major spree. It would be a completely rant of a... it would be a complete rabbit trail, total rabbit trail, but... Oh, hello, cat. I didn't realize she came over there. It'd be a whole rabbit trail off on it, but it's actually like, it could be a whole video on its own. Why I adored that conversation and the whole... what our society, what our world has been doing these days, is certain countries especially, where they're disconnecting our inside mental state from the body, and how like you can get physical with someone, but you try to disconnect that from your brain and count the physical stuff as nothing happened. But everything you do physically has an impact on everything mentally. And when mental stuff is happening, it also impacts physically. You can't disconnect those two things. So, like I say, rabbit trail, so I'll stop there. But I loved his honesty there, and his, no, I have to say this. Yes, something happened. No, they didn't physically sleep together, but something major happened there. Because of the closeness, because of the fact they were sleeping in the same bed, because of everything that was going on. Yes, something major happened there. And he's not going to ignore that. He's going to call it out. I'm like, good. Episode 26, there's a whole conversation between Qin and Yanghua that had me melting all over the floor. I don't know if I can get away with I'm going to try to show the actual clip from the show. If that ends up getting my video banned from YouTube, I will have to read it for you, but I'd rather you see it for yourself. So if you get to see it for yourself, yay! If you have to hear me reading it, I'm sorry. Either way, that's going in here. But now after that whole part that I absolutely love, I have to actually go off on a tangent of complaint. In episode 26 and episode 31 and episode 37. In 26, we finally started to hear more about Yanghua's background / personal story. Finally. However, and I'm saying finally, because it's episode 26 before we start to hear about it. They've been hinting at it for 26 episodes, and finally we actually start hearing about it. However, with this part of it, and later on, like I say, in 26, 31, and 37, the exact same thing happened both times. Both times it was interrupted. In the middle of everything. Later, it's literally in the middle of a scene. We are not only interrupting Yanghua with other main characters, both times it was literally me and one you. Two support characters that we had in fact not even seen in forever. They literally, it's not like the support characters were constantly in there, near the beginning of the show. We were constantly going over there and seeing them do stuff, even though they're support characters. We're constantly watching scenes that kind of basically had nothing to do with anything whatsoever, just random. But they basically vanished from the story numerous times, and then they're randomly brought in just to interrupt Yanghua's story. I'm not exaggerating or kidding. They were literally, we hadn't even seen them in forever, and all of a sudden, right here, right now, is when they were brought back. This is where they chose to bring them back. Literally right in the middle of Yanghua's story. Twice! The minute we start digging into the meat of his life, nope, we're just gonna whiplash over there to those two. What the crap? What the actual crap? I complain sometimes it's discrimination, but I have no proof that it is. But this time, I do. We are finally starting to see what happened with Yanghua's boss. Let's bring baby and one you out of nowhere. And then later on, we are dealing with Yanghua and Yao Yao we will just muddle to the point where I ended up writing, well, that's the most random sideswipe reunion I've ever seen. And how and when did he find out his ex was involved in anything with anything? Like, what was that? And then we are seeing Yanghua and Yao Yao and her son, and let's bring Mei Mei and Wan Yu back from whatever they've been doing to interrupt the whole thing twice. Plus, let's interrupt the whole thing with Xin and Tao. So literally one scene. Well, okay, it's a couple of scenes by this point, with Yanghua listening to Yao Yao talking to Li Dai, and Yanghua meeting Sunny, and then Yanghua seeing Sunny and Yao Yao, and that whole expression, and then them sitting at the table having a supper. All of that is completely interrupted twice by Mei Mei and Wan Yu, and by Qinxi and Tao. Spluttering incoherently while slowly turning purple. Seriously, so many characters in this drama have such an incredibly loud and overdramatic life. They are the squeaky wheels that get all the grease. And then there's Yanghua and even Yao Yao, who are, upon introduction, already so much more mature and stable than anybody else in this drama, that they end up off to the side where no one can function without them. But what got them to that point is not exciting enough anymore, so it's casually shuffled around, and after finishing the drama, I'm left going, but what? In episode 33, this drama was finally opening up about Yanghua, and then suddenly slammed the door in my face. Literally pull out a knife to swing at Yao Yao, but jump away from that scene to off-screen tell me that she was stabbed. Then have Yanghua be asked, to who are we going, Qinxi or Yao Yao? But jump away from that scene before he answers to we then proceed with the entire wrap-up of everything happening with Qinxi and Tao showing up to be the hero again. He had absolutely no business and no place there. I just want to cram him in the trunk of a car and drive the car off into the middle of nowhere and leave it there. Before we go back to Yanghua making an appearance again, with an injury on his forehead that we're just gonna not explain until I forget how long later, after how many other scenes, including one where Yanghua is talking with his dad, who also doesn't comment on the fact that he's got an injury on his forehead. Until finally, one, they show us that it was an overreaction. Again, is that the script or is that the translation thing? Yao Yao was stabbed? Seriously? Tiny little scratch on her arm. That is not a stabbing. Who overblew that exaggeration? My gosh. And two, we finally go back in time to explain how his forehead was injured. Are you kidding me? See my comment in Court Lady about what a main character is? Experiencing things with the main character? Yes, there's a time and a place. I've seen it done really well, where there's a time and a place where you don't actually show what happened over here until you kind of go back and explain it. This was not done well. This was how you do not handle it well. This is how you don't do it. There is a way to do it that is really well done. This was not well done. End of drama. I am upset that it didn't wrap up with Yanghua proposing to Qinxi again. I mean, what exactly was Qinxi supposed to be learning throughout this drama? I thought one of the main things she was learning, and for lack of better words, redeeming in this drama, was marriage itself. Her freedom? Absolutely. That's something I think she desperately needed. Qinxi was not over Tao even after 2 years, and it wasn't just him that she wasn't over. There was a bigger picture that he was a part of, being everything surrounding her and her family and marriage itself. And Yanghua, apart from being an escape from reality, he was also in danger of being a rebound. It was good and probably very necessary for Qinxi to be single after letting go of all of that, so that she could actually recuperate and recapture who she was as a standalone person. Yes, all of that, good, yes. However, healing from, redeeming, etc., marriage. marriage and what it really is versus the twisted throwaway, ugly versions this drama and her job focuses on that made her so afraid of it. Why? This whole drama is set up like that's what she is realizing is that she was wrong about, is the idea about marriage and what marriage is, but in the end she is not married or even engaged to Younghwa. They're simply set to live together forever happy without actually getting married? The crap! What is that? Cannot say it louder that after the whole drama, we still don't understand what marriage actually is all about? Splutting incoherently while slowly turning blue this time. That is literally the one disappointing, bitter taste in my mouth while thinking back over this drama. I hated everything with Tao. I was seriously irritated with how they handled Yanghwa's story. The child! Leave us hanging, dude! But this is the one disappointing and bitter part of it, because Yanghwa and Qinqi's journey of growth and healing and knitting together was so well done. It was beautiful and awesome, and the communication between them was so solid, and how they worked together to complement and build up and encourage and stabilize each other was epic. Such a well done picture of how a husband and wife should be. But in the end of the drama, they aren't a husband and wife. Why? Why did the writers do that? And that's my thoughts on Sheen, Her Perfect Husband. I liked Li Dai. I actually really liked Li Dai. I even liked Yao Yao. Like, mature women that did a few things that I was like, okay, that was rather childish or dumb, but overall, they're actually two of the most mature people in this whole drama. Two of the most stable, most mature people. Them and Yanghwa. Probably the three of them are literally like, and Yanghwa's dad. They're pretty much the only stable, mature people in this whole drama. Perhaps Qinqi's older brother. Perhaps. That's like it. I did not like Tang once she showed her true colors, though she seems to have done an honest turnaround from that in the end. I did not like her. I thought I could trust her, and it turns out, you jackass. Mei Mei was okay. Did not like Wen Yu. Jin wasn't bad, but when it came to his wife and letting things that he let her get away with. Sai Liang Mei, I was mad at him in a few places. You are a married man, and yet you seem to think it's fine to flirt with other women. It is not. I am glaring at you in disgust and fury right now, dude. But also, LOL, poor guy when it comes to dealing with Yanghua. Okay, that actor, like, he must work at the same company as Yukai, because I have now seen him in the same dramas as Yukai so many times. I'll have to put a picture up here of how many different places I've seen him now, and circle the ones that he was in with Yukai. Like, he's got to be working for the same company. I didn't look, but he's got to be. I've actually seen him in so many things now. And most of the time, his character is, I'm not interested in him, that actor. But he is actually a pretty good actor. Like, really, he is. And, like his over-dramatic, like, there was more than once where he was like, ah, or, like, whatever. The expression on his face when Yanghwa was basically trying to apologize to him for, like, being such a difficult person to handle. His literal jaw drop. Who else is there? That's pretty much all the main characters. Yanghwa's dad was okay, but I didn't really like any of the other parents. Like, they're like the mature adults that have grown kids, right? No, actually, most of them are not very mature. They're like, And by the way, my drama list doesn't mention this drama coming from a book. In fact, any of the places I look up, none of them mention it coming from a book. So why does the description on my drama list and Drama Wiki, they say that's where they got it from, was from Drama Wiki, so that's two websites, because one copied the other. Why do they say that it was Wen Yu that changed Qinqi's status to married in order for her to get a job? He had literally nothing to do with that. He had no idea that her status was married, not single. He was just as surprised as everybody else in his family. He went along with it. He did not know that she was claiming that she was married. He did not know that. It was not him that did that. It was her friend, Dian Jing. The same friend that gave her an introduction and interview with the law firm. That is the person that told Tang that Qin Shi was married. Where did whoever wrote the description get the idea that it was Wen Yu? Does this actually come from a book? Because then, I randomly saw someone's comment saying that the scriptwriter ruined the drama in 4 episodes. And one, what do you mean ruined it? That also makes it sound like it does come from some kind of book or something. This whole, like, there was an original source. But I don't see it anywhere in the description that it has an original source. So does it or not? Those two things make it sound like it does, but nowhere marks that it is. So I'm confused. Someone explain that to me, please. And also, with that comment, which 4 episodes? The first 4, the last 4, some random ones in the middle. Which 4 episodes ruined it? So yeah. It was definitely a character-driven drama, and yet it held my attention better than a lot of character-driven dramas do. Which actually surprised me at the point when I realized that that was what was happening. I can't remember where I was in the drama where I suddenly went, my goodness, I'm actually not getting impatient and skipping stuff and getting tired of this. I'm actually not inclined to go and watch something else instead. Quite frequently, character-driven dramas, no matter how much I love the characters, I get so tired of it because it ends up boring because it's just everyday life kind of thing. And I want action. I want something to happen. So I end up like going off and watching something else or doing something else. I get really fidgety and all the rest of that kind of stuff. I actually didn't during this one. For way longer than normal, I actually sat there enjoying it and wanting to watch the next episode. And I think in large that has to do with like Qin Shi and Yang Hua and everything that was happening between them, and even Qin Shi herself. I actually liked Qin Shi. Again, I actually liked her, except her allowing Tao to get away with so much. That was a tricky one because really some of the things that she was doing, I'm like, this is actually taking a lot of, like, you were showing maturity in being able to let go of that whole situation. Like, Tao would not let go, and he was being incredibly disgusting and indecent and horrible and deplorable because of that. He wouldn't let go of what he was supposed to let go of. He had no business holding on to it. She actually, like, she had just as much, if not more of a reason to hold on to it than he did, and yet she was mature enough to let it go. But she didn't like a spoiled, rotten child be like, get out of my life, or like try to control him or anything like that. She realized the good qualities that he had, like in terms of he had more experience and whatnot in the job that she was trying to do, and she realized that she could learn something from that, and she went, yeah, you know what? I take my job seriously and I want to learn, so even if it's Tao that I'm getting it from, I will get it from Tao. She actually shows a lot of maturity in all of that. The part that I don't like is that even though she was like, let me go, and I was like, she never actually goes beyond that. And basically, like, she never actually tells him, dude, if you ever do that again, I'm going to call the police on you. She never goes, dude, if you ever do that again. Like, she allows him to do it to her over and over and over again. Every time, would you let go? But the second he lets go, she just kind of like me. And then gets distracted, and there's no repercussion for what he does from her. She never gives him proper repercussion and ever tells him to back off and stop it. So in that respect, and that I don't like her. Like, I'm really, really, like I say, the whole drama, the entire drama is excusing him and justifying him and rewarding him. Excusing is not okay. There is no excuse for bad behavior. Like, he's got disgusting behavior and he's excused for it. Bad enough. Then he's justified in it. You can't forget your first love. Yeah, well, look what Yang Hua and Yao Yao did. They seemed fine. Look how mature Qin Shi ended up. She seems fine. Yeah, there are certain aspects of your first love that you can't forget, obviously. There are certain things that you don't really get over because that ends up holding us. That does not give you a justification for bad behavior, and yet they're justifying it. And then on top of that, on top of the excuse, which is bad enough, on top of the justification, which is bad enough, then they reward him for his bad behavior. He gets to be friends with Qin Shi. He gets to be co-workers with Qin Shi. He gets to have the job. He gets to have Wu Fei. He is rewarded for all of his bad behavior. And everybody in the drama is constantly telling us that he's a good man and will be a good husband and father one day. Maybe after he does some actual repenting and changing of his ways, but not like he is right now. I would actually be really afraid to be married to that guy, and I would not want him around my children. He's only okay when you're doing things his way. if you try to sway, if you try to get out of, if he figures he has a right to control you, he will. That is not what I call a good man. That is not what I call a good husband. That is not what I call a good father. He is actually kind of scary. Everybody calls him a good man. Everybody thinks he's a good man. And look what he gets away with as a result. That's actually pretty scary. And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent on him again. That was supposed to be my wrap-up. Yanghua and Qin-Shi. Yeah. Why I continued to not get bored. I don't know. And probably because I liked Qin-Shi's character. And her and Yanghua. I really liked it with them. So there's a lot packed into this drama. There's a lot of very interesting, like, it's one of those ones where, for the most part, and that's why I'm a little bit bothered by the fact that they didn't end up being proposed to and stuff in the end, because there's a lot of stuff, for the most part, they're giving you things to think about instead of telling you what to believe. And that's how a story really should be. It should be like invoking thought in you. Like a really well done story is going to make you think and make you ponder about stuff, especially stuff that you don't necessarily agree with. That's a really well done story if that's what it's doing. And that's one of the reasons why I like, for instance, I hate most of the English stuff that's coming out. Like anything Hollywood is producing these days, pretty much hate it and don't want to go near it, because they aren't giving you food for thought anymore. They're telling you and forcing you and controlling everything you're thinking. It's all agendas and propagandas, and I'm not okay with that. That should not be in a story. That's, no. But yeah, so, She and Her Perfect Husband. It is a drama. Even with all my complaints included, I'd definitely say it's a drama worth watching. Good job. For the most part, overall, despite all my complaints, good job. It's worth watching. So that's all I can say. And so thank you for watching this video. Tell me what you thought. If you've seen She and Her Perfect Husband, what was your opinions on it? What did you think? Did you really like it? Did you really hate it? What parts did you like? What parts did you hate? Thanks for watching. And should I do a video on Jukai's weddings or not? Bye.